speechless, but what I would like to do, first of all, let's give a big round of applause for this entire production. The reason we wanted to let the credits run fully because so many of us in this room also played a role in this amazing film. And so if you played a role in any way, shape, or form, would you just please stand for just a moment? Would you just please stand? The extras and caterers and musicians and all the things. We're going to do a talk back, but what I want to do before we introduce this incredible producer, director, is I want Johnny. Johnny, come over here, man. Give Johnny a round of applause. Come on, Johnny. You remember we had that big rap party with like when you wrapped everything up? What I want you to do is just say hello to the community, and then I want you to introduce Nicki. All right?
I won't let you down. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man, for just being a part of everything from the infrastructure and just helping the moments of this movie become real because of Denver. We're extremely grateful. I'm an executive producer. I'm one of the founders of 360 Films, and my partner who's here right now, she's gonna come up in just a minute. It's very important that you understand this. We're an independent film company, and your love takes us higher. Your hand claps, it just takes us higher. The way you show your love for this movie, hashtag SOB, Summer of Violence, that's a hashtag SOB. We're doing film or movie? SOB film, hashtag SOB film. Please take pictures. Nicki's gonna be here for the next 3 hours taking pictures with you guys. So take those pictures and tag them and put them in the atmosphere. We thank you for a sellout crowd. We had a sellout crowd last week in Los Angeles. We'll have another sellout crowd tomorrow night here in Denver. I wanted to fly in specifically for this particular screening, this festival, is because Nicki hired me as a professional coach in the speaking arena. And I've had the incredible honor and pleasure of sharing the stages with some of the greatest speakers on the planet. My father and mentor in this industry is Mr. Les Brown, and which is slated to be one of our. Can we say it? No. Okay. But when she called me, she was hiring me as a coach, and right around the third session, I told her, and I'm living in Texas, and she's in Los Angeles. I said, Nicki, I can't charge you anymore. And I just remember the phone just going silent. And she's thinking that I'm about to, basically eliminate and get rid of our relationship. And I said, Nicki, it's because we're gonna be business partners one day. And I said, you're gonna help me raise my daughters in this crazy industry called entertainment. And that was 2015, 16, somewhere in that time period. In 2022, in July, we stroked the ink on the company called 360 Films. I want to say right around October 2022, my daughters flew to Los Angeles to live with her for 30 days.
Wow.
This movie was shot and produced in 19 days.
Wow.
That is not the most impressive part to me. This movie was casted. Now you see the synergy of casting.
Yeah.
Normally a casting on this level, there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of going back and forth to make sure chemistry of the characters work together. 9 or 10 days of casting? 4 weeks of casting. That's unheard of. So as I'm bringing her up, I want you to understand, we did this with our own money. We have not collected one dime of resources outside of us. And here's why. We wanted to prove to this industry and do something that most companies don't do. We wanted to show up with a product that says, this is what we did with our money. imagine what we could do with yours.
Right. Exactly.
When it's 5 million, when it's 20 million,
Exactly.
when it's 30 million. We're not here to try to do anything. We are here to make a full-fledged production company called 360 Films, and our commitment is to bring 360 stories, full circle stories, and bring them to life. In 1993, Nicki, this was your summer of violence. 1993 was my summer of violence. It happens to be the year where I gave my gun to a preacher at my homeboy's funeral and I walked away from a lifestyle. And I met my wife within 24 hours. I was 18 years old. Today I'm married 25 years.
Wow.
This is 360 Films. Everything that we do, we promise you, without a shadow of a doubt, we are going to deliver top level quality pictures and entertainment. We'll cut you up on one side, but we promise you we'll sew you back up for that full circle 360 experience. So ladies and gentlemen, if you will, please welcome my business partner, the writer, the director, the poetry, everything behind this. This lady has been in this industry for over 30 years, killing it full time. And now as she takes her debut, please welcome her back to Denver, Colorado, Mrs. Nicki Micheaux.
That was fun. All right.
Yeah.
And she like,
First,
do
just
something.
before she says anything, how about a standing ovation
Yes.
for this?
Oh, wait.
We gotta do a standing ovation for this. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Thank you guys. Oh, thank you so much. Real quick, we want you to tag us. I have these flyers with the QR code with the Instagram logo. You can tag us, follow us, like us, all those good things. And if you would like to support the film in any way, we have a support us QR code as well. Just wanted to make sure y'all know how to keep in touch with us. Hey Denver, how y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Y'all were intense.
awards. We are winning awards
Oh,
on
yeah.
the festival
Yes.
already.
Yeah, we just won Best Picture at the DCLA Film Festival. We won first Best, the director, me, won Outstanding First Feature at
Yes.
the Tallgrass Film Festival. But you know, I'm just happy you guys, y'all like it all right, right?
Yes.
That's all that matters. Y'all are still here. Thank you.
So Nicki, that was intense, and it was beautiful, and it was like leaves me speechless in many regards. A lot of unexpected twists and.
Oh, wait. We have to introduce my brother, who's also one of the executive producers.
Oh, he's also the paper. He's the paper guy. Come on down here so we can see you.
Well, oh no, because he's what he came in when we ran out of money. We had to get it finished. I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Anyway, so we can keep going. Sorry.
No.
Everyone must get their props.
Absolutely. So what we want to do right now is, I want to open it up for your thoughts, your questions, your introspection, or whatever. And I don't want to take up time because I got time with Nicki. I want you to have some time with Nicki right now. What comes to mind? Any questions? Any thoughts? Anything you want to share?
So, I'm from Park Hill. I grew up during the bloody 90s. So those drive-bys in the houses and all of that, yeah, it did trigger me. It did. But now I'm a therapist
Beautiful.
here in Park Hill. So I just love the way you really told the story. There's so many broken, hidden stories. So my question to you is, when you were creating this film, what was the thing that you had to heal within yourself? Like inner child work or shadow work? I mean, I'm a therapist and everything. Talking about this type of stuff.
Man,
But
golly.
I'm curious, because I remember being in drive-by houses and having a TV in the closet, and it was actually normal for us.
Yeah.
And then nobody could identify. And after a while, you just stop flinching. You just stop flinching after a while. My cousins was Crips and Bloods and Pyrus and all of that. And I was in the streets and stuff and back and forth from Texas, and I made a decision. I said, I'm done. I'm done. and I have my son, and I have my daughter. So I'm just curious, what did you have to kill within yourself?
You know, it did take me a long time to be able to tell this story. Because I left, you know, a lot happened. I mean, this movie talks about some things that happened to me, happened to other people, but what I wanted to do was kind of be able to tell a story of a woman, a person, going through this and what this type of violence happening, going on around you, how it can press on you and press on your soul and your psyche, and how does one get up and rise through it, you know, because I felt like some of the things that I struggled with as a person, you know, that maybe I had some attitude or some arrogance or whatever, but there was a reason that I was hard. And I wanted to try to help explain how people end up a certain way, you know, and I felt like if I could take you inside this girl's heart and help you to see, you may have more compassion when you meet someone and you don't understand what they're going through or what they've been through, and not be so judgmental on what you're meeting. Because, you know, Black women, we get a lot of words about us. And a lot of people are not trying to look underneath and see what's going on. So I really wanted to like take you inside this Black girl's soul. So the things I had to heal, the main thing I had to heal was I had to forgive my father. That was the hardest part. So I wrote this movie for my father. This was a part of, I wrote this movie actually back in 2018, and it was me processing my relationship with my dad, because my dad died in 2000. So I was left with a lot of issues. So I was processing it in the film. And one of the things I wanted to do was create the ending that I didn't get to have. And then I was trying to give it to other people who may or may not have that relationship with the father figure in their life, was, you know, and just to try to point out how important these love relationships are, how important these bonds are. So that's some of what I had to do. But luckily I did it all before I started filming, because I would have been just a mess trying to film this and be like, you know, but I had processed it years before, you know, I even thought about actually making it.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, be loud.
Nadine, I'll come right there.
Jeff gonna run.
I'm coming.
It's like Bill Donahue.
I'm coming.
I'm coming, I'm gonna get the mic.
I can be loud, but anyway. So I wanted to ask, coming into this, I was 13 during the summer, and so there were parts of this story that I was anticipating.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you can elaborate on the parts that we weren't anticipating. For instance, like the kiss between, I think was it Jordan?
Pam and Naomi.
Pam and Naomi.
Yeah.
And then also that little piece where we saw the business owner as a white woman getting that media presence that other Black women didn't get. So just wondered if you can elaborate on those pieces.
Well, the thing about Pam and her struggle, you know, it's a tricky thing, because I left it a bit ambiguous. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, Pam's in love with Naomi and she wanted to be with her. I mean, you could take it that way, sure. Or, you know, a lot of shit's going down and you need somebody. And this is your person and you just need them. And it was really, again, it's about that pressure, you know, and what does it do to you, and how you fall into each other. And that's kind of was like, she needed her. You know, and it doesn't have to be anything sort of, no ulterior motive. It was just love. And she just needed that, and she wasn't able to get it because of in the 90s, it wasn't always easy to be out. You know, I have a lot of friends who came out, and it was, you know, you weren't like holding hands down the street. So where would she get her comfort? Where would she get her love? But you still need it. Your life is like, this just happened, everything's falling apart for me, I need you. That's kind of what it was for me, but I purposely didn't make it specific. You know, I just wanted to let it land where it lands. And then as far as the white business owner getting killed, you know, that was the other side of the summer of violence, is when the murders went outside what we call the acceptable zone. You know, the press started freaking out, and then the laws started changing and trying people as an adult, and all of a sudden you were fighting two wars. you know, as a black person or a person of color. And that was something I really wanted to highlight, but I didn't want to take away from Naomi, because it was really about Naomi. It wasn't really a political commentary, but I wanted to try to paint the picture of the pressure, you know, and how some lives made it to TV and others just weren't talked about. And that was why Pam had to die. Because I didn't want to kill Pam, you know, because I wanted everyone to live. But I needed Pam to die because I needed you to understand what it's like to not be seen, to not be counted, and to put Sinclair, and Sinclair was on the news. So I would have given it more time if I could have, but you know, I didn't want to make the movie go down too far a different path. You know, I was trying to keep the story real streamlined. But I'm glad you caught up on it. I tried. I was like, see what's happening, y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So then,
beautiful.
and of course, you know, it's that, and then, you know, the thing about Ed getting arrested, that was true. That was a friend of mine that, what actually happened was, we were staying in some house, and the police came through and ransacked it and took him to jail and for parking tickets, and then he couldn't get out, and it was this whole thing, and it was all because you just couldn't be in the way, you know, of the police, and basically being in the way was being black. So that was just little bits that I was trying to do, because, you know, really this movie was 3 movies. There's 3 different, so many stories I could have told. This was just the one I was like, this one.
Yeah.
But the way you also told it, it seemed to me clearly as a love story.
Yes, very much
It was
so.
a very much a love story.
Yeah.
There was something about Naomi that captured me. She didn't feel she was beautiful. And even when that beautiful picture was presented, she said, that's how you see me. But she never said beautiful. And so what was it about her in terms of as a black woman or a black young girl, seeing herself and not really seeing that beauty?
Well, I think it's so common. You know, when I was growing up, chocolate girl like myself, you know, you think it's you, but as I've grown up and seen so many women are insecure about their issues and beauty, and it's a hard thing for women. I mean, society is rough. And I just wanted it to be, especially because she had been kind of growing up under her father's shadow and not really used to come and speaking out on her own. Of course, she wouldn't necessarily see herself that way, and it was a struggle for her, you know.
So Anubis, you were instrumental. Stand, Anubis. Give him a round of applause, because Anubis was like the
Anubis was a
glue
lot.
on so
Anubis
many
was a lot.
levels. So Anubis, you had an opportunity now to see this. What are your thoughts, and then maybe what's your
Well,
question?
can I say one story? Anubis came through so hard for us. It was so great. When we had to do the arresting scene, the police scene, we had one young actor and then a crew member who threw on a police uniform. And we weren't really sure, like, what do they do? I'm like, well, I've been on 20 cop shows or something like this, you know? And then Anubis came back, was like, here's my friend, the marshal, the Denver, a Denver marshal, who came in and basically was our consultant, and it looked amazing. And Anubis just came through. I was just like, wow, you got tricks. You know? But it's details that make things believable.
Yeah.
You know, so it was just tremendous. So go ahead.
Well, thank you, Nicki. An aspiring filmmaker as well. And so as a Virgo, those details are very important, right? So scouting locations, that gas station, my grandmother's home, rest her soul, is now immortalized in the film, right? So, and it's bittersweet, right? Because my grandfather kind of got me into film he had a big old camcorder, and he was walking around recording us doing commercials and stuff. And then so that's how I kind of got into that. And then, you know, the last time seeing that house owned by my grandmother is in the film. So,
Wow.
but yeah, super dope experience. Sean Riggs, very good friend of mine now, called me from Risha Archibald, a Denver native as well. And was like, hey, got this film project coming to Colorado, you want to help out? And I was like, oh yeah, I want to help out. What's it talk about? Right? So, and then the rest is history. But very amazing story. It's great to see all those moments come together and come into play. And you were like, damn, I was everywhere except LA. And seeing it come together is absolutely stunning.
And you know, without Anubis, without Tamar, who's my roommate from college, you're not allowed to speak. Don't say anything. Like you say nothing. So Tamar, we used her house in Boulder, but people like that, we had so much favor coming to Colorado to film, because honestly, I can tell you, this film wouldn't be nearly as beautiful or any of that without these people coming to help us.
Wow. You know, another thing that you did with this film and the crew and everyone is you held the community in deep respect. And even while you were shooting, there were individuals from the community that were also a part of community, but also opened up. And you know, you just can't walk into a community and do what you want, no matter if you just got the permits or you got all of the stuff up here that you think you have to get. There's some stuff all through the community that you have to get. And through some of those scenes and police and all that stuff, you held community and got respect from the community as well. And I think that you did well in terms of this film. I wanted to give you another round of applause because it was, you know, it wasn't directly about the community, but it was about the community, and it could be any community.
Exactly, and that's what Naomi was finding, her community, and that's why when I put her in LA, I had to put her in another one. But it was everything that I wanted to do. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Nikki. My name is Ariana Renee. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Ariana.
I had the honor and pleasure of doing background work at Brother Jeff Cultural Center one night. I think it was the closing night.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun. We did open mic night poetry at my father's cultural center years from me being a young girl, and I wrote poetry, and I still write poetry to this day. So I wanted to ask you, what was the significance of putting poetry in the film, and why was it so important to do so?
You know, I chose poetry. I was very afraid to choose poetry, actually. I wanted to do an art form that was not as traditional, was not as popular. You know, I call myself a shy poet. You know, I have a lot of poems that no one's ever heard.
Yep.
No one's ever seen the light of day. So the first versions of it, I just kind of like, well, I'll just put this little poem here and we'll just move on. And I just sort of put them there, but I didn't really lean into it. And it was probably, I put the script down for at least a year. And I was like, oh, you know, what if she's just a poet? And just, what if I just went to town and like, she wants to be a Nobel laureate or something crazy. And I just leaned into it. And then at the first round of the film, only had 3 poems. And one of the producers was like, it's a movie about a poet, but there's only 3 poems. I'm like, well, you know, yeah. And she's like, well, add some more. And I'm like, well, let me pull out my journal. And I just would pull out poems, write more poems. And it's just, for me, it was very freeing, but I had no idea people would like it.
Yeah.
People would read the script and say, who wrote the poems? I'm like, why? Because I just knew you don't like it. Suck. I had no clue that it would resonate with people. Just know, because I never let it out the box.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it was that important to me or if it just was something that came to me that kind of made sense and then I leaned into it. Writing is a very lonely, isolated process. So you don't really know until you kind of get it out into the world, and by that point you're committed. So I just was kind of going with it, you know. I'm so grateful. You know, it
It
worked
was
out.
phenomenally
Wow.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We got room for one more question, and then I'm pretty sure you can meet and make sure you take pictures in front of the step and
yeah, we
repeat
have
and all of those
yeah.
things. Okay, the Hashim Dim, the final question.
All right, Hashim Coates, grew up in Park Hill during this time frame. I appreciate the perspective that you wrote this in. When I came, I was thinking we was going to talk about like the hows and the whys from a gang perspective, but you talked about this from a perspective of someone that was basically raised in a home and never a part of that life. And then you showed how the violence impacted people. And there's one that was in close proximity to that. So my question for you is, what type of critique did you get, are you getting from that, from people like, oh, this is cornballish, or this is not what they thought it would be, or like, because it didn't come from that other perspective?
You know, funny thing about being a black artist, there's often a unconscious expectation of you to serve some sort of message, some sort of political messaging. And I've done this for 30 years. And you get it as an actor, you get it as, no matter what part of it, there's certain expectations put on the Black artist. And so I consciously let that go and decided to tell a story. The reason why I chose to tell a story of someone who was outside of it was that this movie is for anybody and everybody, and anyone can identify with being outside of it and find yourself in the situation. Because you can think about gang violence in the 90s, but today we got gun violence at Walmart, at concerts, at schools. Everybody's living through this. So I wanted it to be a very universal story for anyone to identify with. And, you know, if I chose to do something about the summer violence coming from the gang perspective, I'd probably do a documentary. Because that's really where you want to be if you want to be in facts and numbers. But this was a story about how does gun violence ripple through the community? You know, because you don't have to be a victim of gun violence to be a victim of gun violence. And that was the heart of the story.
Wow.
Well, with that said, another round of applause for the entire crew,
Thank you.
family,
Thank you.
friends. Tell everybody about this, hashtag it, make sure you get here tomorrow. And again, thank you so much. Can we give the Denver Film Festival, Bill, and that whole